Is it fine?
Yeah, looks good. Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
Okay, so I guess we are at 7:35 local time right now, and so we may get started. So welcome everyone. This is a webinar organized by the IEEE Photonics Society Bangladesh chapter, and we have organizing partners from different universities and different student chapters. So we have with us the Optica Bangladesh section, the Optica student chapter from University of Dhaka, and we have the Electron Device Society from the University of Dhaka, as well as the IEEE Power and Energy Society from IIUC, and the IEEE NPSS student chapter from BUBT University, as well as the IEEE Photonics Society BUBT chapter. So we have with us today Lieutenant Dr. T.D. Subash, and I have the pleasure to introduce him to the audience today. So Dr. Subash will be delivering a talk on past and future of micro and nano electronic devices. He is an academic veteran, technocrat, come avid researcher. He's a mentor, innovator, and an entrepreneur as well. He has received the fellowship from the government of Japan and travel grant and fellowship from IEEE Photonics Society, USA. He serves as an active member of the editorial board of various international journals and has delivered more than 55 keynote talks across the world. He has more than 100 publications in national journals and conferences in the areas of nanoelectronics, nanoscale device modeling, nanotechnology, and wireless sensors. He is recognized research supervisor of Anna University, Chennai, and APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University in Kerala. So we are very privileged to have Dr. T.D. Subash with us today. And with no further delay, I would kindly invite our speaker to start the session today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor, for your kind introduction. And once again, I welcome you all for this program. As Sir suggested, it's good morning, good evening, good night. It's up to you. So it's home greetings. So let me have another honor discussion based on past and future of micro nano electronic devices. I also thank Mainul and Tabil Muhammad and the professors and the organizers for hosting such a wonderful program. So once again, thank you all for giving me a wonderful opportunity. Now I am entering to the section. So the next honor, we are about to see the 20th century inventions, semiconductor devices, current status of silicon CMOS, concerns for nano CMOS integration, future scaling issues, evolution of polytronics, and research direction, future research direction and the revolution of electronics. First, you can see about the inventions in 20th century. There was many inventions in the 20th century. You can see aeroplane, and nuclear power generation, computers, spacecraft, etc. However, it's in everything, every invention what we have seen to create miracles controlled by electronics. So the most important invention in the 20th century is none other than it is electronics. So what is electronics? So of course it is the use of electrons. We call it as electronic circuits. It's the base of various semiconductor devices. We can combine the semiconductor devices with our human. That is the brain of our human. It's a very important thing, which acts as IC, and ear and eye as sensors, mouth as RF and output device, and stomach PV device, and our hands and legs as power device. This is a comparison with the semiconductor devices with human. Then the first computer, which was aware that is made up of vacuum tubes, it occupied a huge room, just invented in the year 1946. So now the big thing is to have dreamed of replacing vacuum tubes with solid state devices. So after the invention of our ICs, now you can see the difference. The big room computer, which happens in 1946, just around 50 to 60 years old, its transformation takes place. Now we are keeping this in our as a pocket PC. So that is a difference. That too with high performance and low power consumption, which is very important. So needless to say, CMOS technology is indispensable for our human society. All the human activities are controlled by CMOS: living, production, financing, telecommunication, transportation, medical care, education, entertainment, etc. So without CMOS, there is no computer in banks. The world economical activities immediately stop. So even in fact, in itself, we can tell cellular phones that does not exist. Let us see the history of semiconductor devices. 1947, the first point contact bipolar junction transistor was evolved. This made up of germanium semiconductor. Bardeen and Bertin invented and received the Nobel Prize. In 1948, the first junction bipolar transistor has been evolved, was developed by Shockley. They too received Nobel Prize. I'm stressing the word Nobel Prize. In 1958, first integrated circuits, which is made up of germanium semiconductor, Gilby invented, and he also received Nobel Prize. In 1959, first planar IC was invented by Noyce. 1960, first MOS transistor was invented by COM, that is silicon semiconductor device. 1963, first CMOS circuit was invented by Shaw and Fondas. So here come the miracle. Electronics started by the invention of vacuum tubes, triode in 1906 by Lady Forrest. It is nothing but the thermal electrons from cathode controlled by a grid bias is the mechanism. So this is a funny image which I got it from internet about Lady Forrest. He has 4 wives, and in 1906 he married Louis Chardon. 1907 Nora Blatch. So 1912 Mary Mayoy Senior. And 1930 she married Mary Mussolini. It's film, silent film matter. So this doesn't comes to our part. Just when I'm searching about Lady Forest in internet, I got these pictures. That's the reason I just share it for fun. However, they found amplification phenomenon when investigating germanium surface when putting needles. So this is the first transistor which was we called as BJT or bipolar junction transistor, which is made up of germanium material. So Batten and Shockley as invented. So in our textbooks, we are studying in our undergraduate things, we might learn that the first transistor BJT was invented by William Shockley, but in 1947. So this is the image, and these are the 3 persons. The invention of the transistor era begins in 1947 by Bradin, Shockley. That is our, so and that too, they too received the Nobel Prize in physics for their invention. Now, after 10 years, what happened? The modern MOSFET was born by Kong and Atalla. So for the next 50 years, the 2D structure of the MOSFET transistor remains unchanged. We are doing some research with the help of these MOSFET devices, especially semiconductor designers or researchers. We are doing the work based on the MOSFET transistors. It still remain unchanged. And 1991, the first 3D FinFET transistor was evolved, just developed by Kizomoto. So the end of the 2D planar transistor, in 2011, Intel come up with a new structure called new 3D structure. That is, new transistors for 22 nanometer chips have an unprecedented combination of power saving and performance gains. The current status of silicon CMOS device technologies. So the main focus is decreasing the cost. At the same time, we need to increase the performance. So see, this slide plays an important role. See, 1930, the chip size is 10 micrometer, then 8, it is decreasing, 6 micrometer, 1.2 micrometer, 0.8, and comes to nanometer. And by 2022, it is shows is 22 nanometer. So now the chip size which we are designing is which comes for 22 nanometer. That is from 1970 to 2022. This year, it is 51 years. It is 19 generations. We have the land width is 1 by 415, and the area is 1 by 2 lakhs is reduced to is 0.5. So from 1970, from 10 micrometer to by 2022, it reduced to 22 nanometer. Again, till it is scaling. So why miniaturization? So it's smaller, faster, and cheaper. These are the examples you can see. So this is another funny image which we need to see the realistic. So in nowadays in a home, everyone has mobile phones. We can see without mobile phone we can't sleep. So the boy of the family says, I have iPhone, and the child says, the girl says, I have iPod, and the mother says, I paid. Finally, the head of the family, the father, he says, I paid for all. It's a funny image from Facebook. Now 2022, so after 50 years from the first single MOSFET, so we have developed, the Samsung has come up with a storage of 512 gigabyte. So in 2017, Intel, so we are highlighting Intel means, so Intel, as there are many companies out there in terms of fabrication of chips, but Intel comes to the pioneer in that. So as researchers of semiconductor, we will be concentrating the development and use of Intel frequently. So in 2017, Intel come up with an advertisement, and I mean news that they're setting a fab lab and supports American innovation with $7 billion investment in next generation semiconductor factory in Arizona. So whatever things which we are about to deal is based on the Moore's law. Moore's law. So if there is any UG students, you might have learned about Moore's law. Gordon E. Moore, born in 1929, is a co-founder of Intel. So what is this observation? Till the device fabrication industry is following are observing the Moore's law. So there lies nothing but the number of ICs integrated in a single ICs double every 24 months. So the very important thing is not only the number of integrated transistors integrated in a single IC doubles every 24 months, but the rate, the cost is also reducing. It's very much important. We need to note that. And 2017 March 28, so based on the Moore's law, again the executive vice president of Intel Corporation came up with that. He also agreed with the Moore's law and what the economy is going on, how the development is going on. So this is what happens. Another important thing, even in undergraduate syllabuses, if you're teaching microprocessor, you can see the syllabus, it is 8085 and 8086 processors we are learning, but it's in the market. 1970, the processor is 4004, and it is increasing 1975, 1980, 1990, and by 2020, see how much number of the right side, we can see how much number of transistors are integrated in a single IC and how the development is going on. So which proves the Moore's law, that is number of transistor integrated in a single IC is doubled every 2 years. So sub-10 nanometer CMOS transistors will be realized with new technologies anyway. The concerns of integration, such huge number of transistors, already 16 gigabit is larger than the world population, comparable for the number of neurons in human. So now we are comparing this with galaxies. The concerns are nano CMOS integration. So some of the concerns. So too huge power consumption. Of course, it is heat generates based on that. Too huge variations in transistor characteristics, which could make the circuit design impossible. Too many number of transistors for the circuit designers to manipulate. So we can term as design crisis. No merit of transistor downsizing in performance and power because of CRF interconnect cannot be reduced. Then who will pay the huge production cost in semiconductor industries? So the problem of huge production cost investment. So we can see based on the wafer size, the technology gets varies. In the left side, we can see how much amount of investment required for our semiconductor industries. So it's another example for foundry, the facility that is in Taiwan. They invested $3 billion investment in 2011, and Singapore they invested $3.6 billion. So this is the investment which is required for semiconductor industries. So when we start planning for next wafer size transaction, say from 1990 to 2021, the size of the wafer, it is also increasing, the delays decreasing. So when does it happen? See the size of wafer which is using. Next, another important thing is the microprocessor trend, which we have seen earlier. In 1992, Intel has developed a chip which has a gate length of 10,000 nanometer. See the performance, the frequency. But when it goes to another 2008, the Intel's processor which has the gate length of 25 nanometer and the frequency is 30 gigahertz. So how much which means in a nutshell we can tell increase in power consumption at the same time heat generation also increases, but we need to concentrate all those things. In a nutshell we can tell based on the Moore's law the development process is going on. Then another important factor is power and heat increase. So maybe it is not efficient to increase the clock frequency and number of transistors. There will not be a big merit without improving the operating frequency of board or package and reduce the power consumption. Main job of me is editing document and accessing to internet. Such an extremely high clock frequency should not be necessary. See, the important thing is, so based on the application we need to choose. See, when we are going for high-end processes, of course, there may be some drawbacks. So if I need a PC only for editing my document, means we need to choose based on that process. So based on that, so even though there are high-end processes are there, but some cases for application process we need low-end process. So variation of transistor characteristic, that is system and circuit design will assume such variations. If too huge variation, reconfigurable circuit and system designing can avoid such transistors with huge variations. So one cannot suppress the variation under certain level, but we can offer as many transistors the designers want. It is also important to use a larger device in the circuit depending on the usage. So large gate are useful to reduce the flicker noise. Then designing crisis for human power. We could expect the progress of CURD. Normally for designing semiconductor for this chip, we are using a T-CURD actually. So the knowledge, I mean the designers is also shortage. Then we can do only whatever we can design in that period with a given manpower. So with this limited manpower, we need to design the maximum. So multi-level circuit design such as multi-core of microprocessor will save the human power. Then huge development and production costs. So leading edge company in memory, microprocessor, DSP, foundry make huge profits. So they should cover the cost. So this is the reason the production cost may be increased. So this is another slide. We can see how much revenue as well as profit that company makes based on the semiconductor industry. Intel, Samsung, Texas, Toshiba, TMC, NEC. So the profit, you can see the revenue as well as profits at that company. So Japanese smaller companies makes smaller profit. Future scaling issues. So as we mentioned, so the scaling where downsizing, the size downsizing happens, but there are some issues will also be there. So this is what happens. So as I mentioned, from micrometer to nanoscale, we are scaling. So by 2030, we mean, as we mentioned, by 2022, it is 20 nanometer. So again, we are in the process, 22 nanometer, sorry, 22 nanometer. Then we are in the process of downsizing, but there is something of the saturation. There is a limit actually. So it's called as post-scaling period. So maximum we can do this by 2030. What happens in 2030? Anyway, we will reach the downsizing limit in 15 to another 20 years. So it will not happen suddenly, but it takes some time. So there is no downsizing from tomorrow, and you do not need to come to company from tomorrow. If the company says what the developers will do, probably period of each generation or node will become longer, and downsizing eventually approaches to the limitations. After the limit of downsizing, what are the possibilities? No, technology node change, And then no design of new microprocessor. Same lithography mask can be used for many years. Same equipment can be used for many years. Companies reach to make the most advanced microprocessors with cheap cost. Then price of microprocessors and even equipments becomes extremely cheap. It will be a very good thing for microprocessor users. However, will it be the very serious crisis for advanced countries and companies in semiconductor? If there is no more downsizing, then the semiconductor engineers will lose their jobs. Is it so? There are many jobs after that downsizing, which is we evolved, which is another 10 to 15 years, which is technologies of the introduction of new materials, new process, new structures will not be completed in another 15 years. So researchers who are doing in semiconductor field and material science have a lot of opportunity. We can go for new materials, new process, new structures. Note that introduction of new materials usually take more than 10 years. There are also other many work streams, that is hybrid integration, 3D integration, miniaturization of board, efficient algorithm for system. There would be a revolution for manufacturing process. And do we need big CR? What would be the wafer in future? Is it the same as it is now? Then see the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2014 is received by jointly Agasaki Kuroshimano and Suji Nakamura for the invention of efficient blue light emitting diode, which has enabled bright and energy saving, the white light LED. For the invention, they have received Nobel Prize in 2014. And so on seeing this, one of my colleague, she started doing her research in white light LED. So they have done it in blue light LED. She done it in white light LED. This is the motivation which they are expecting. So what semiconductor materials are related to Nobel Prize? That's what I have suggested and stressed on Nobel Prize. So if you are a device or material science researchers, you will be getting Nobel. There's more possibilities for getting Nobel Prize. Let's see a look. In 2014, Agasaki and Nakamura received the Nobel Prize for the development of gallium nitride blue LED. They have worked in a compound semiconductor, this gallium nitride. 2020, Jane and his team has invented a 2D graphene device that is nothing but graphene is nothing but carbon material. It is also a semiconductor. Then 2009, Wallace Boyle and Smith sent a CCD device, so made up of silicon material. And 2000, Alfred Homer for the development of semiconductor heterojunction, that is a compound semiconductor material. And 2000, Kilby for the invention of ICs, that is a germanium bipolar transistor, germanium material. 1973, Isaki Glover for tunneling effect, that is germanium diode. So 1956, Shockley, Bardeen, and Burton has invented germanium-based BJT, which is a germanium material. So total, if you see from certain years, 7 items, germanium got 3, and for some compound metals got 2, silicon 1, carbon 1. So if you are doing, is a motivation for young researchers, if you're doing some research with the help of some materials, so maybe in future you may want to receive the Nobel Prize. So we can see some Intel news, why Intel is pioneer and why the researchers are concentrating on Intel news. In 2018, Intel come up with an advertisement or a news that is, Intel looks beyond CMOS to the picture of logic devices, which is nothing but it is for an evolutionary approach for computing the beyond CMOS era. That is MISO, which is nothing but magneto-electric spin orbit logic device, is built around low voltage interconnects and low voltage magneto-electrics. It brings together quantum materials, innovations with computing. We are excited about the progress we have made and we are looking forward for future demonstrations, which are said by the senior film director of Intel Group. And again, in 2019, Intel come up with another news, that is the global objective is to accelerate the adoption of a new communication infrastructure that will bring together photonics networks infrastructure, including silicon photonics, edge computing, which is called as multidisciplinary. Then in 2020, again, Intel come up with the news for investing 132 million US dollar in 11 disruptive technology startups, which consists of AI, data analytics, autonomous systems, and major important thing is semiconductor innovation. Again, 2020, Intel come up with the news that is where tomorrow begins. That is Intel's Components Research Lab. So what Robert Chayu, the CR leader and Intel senior fellow says, we work on tomorrow searching for enabling solutions typically 5 to 10 years ahead of productions. Clear? 5 to 10 years ahead of production. So it means the job is to invent, to demonstrate, and to develop game-changing and revolutionary processing and packaging technologies to enable Intel's process technology and leadership. And by 2020, Intel come up with another announcement that this partner with US for the year of awards excellence in accelerating innovation. Then we can see something about polytronics, which is a new area. It's an evolution of polytronics. What is polytronics? It's nothing but polymer plus electronics. So there is a question whether polymer is a semiconductor. So we can see. So certain plastic, which is called as polymers, have conductive and light emitting property, providing the basics of new technology for flat panel displays with excellent visibility. Now the next era, we can see the screens. We can see it is a flat panel display. So polymer or polytronics plays a vital role in this regard. Now we can see why, when, and how. Research in polymer electronics began in 1970s, which is nothing but conductive polymer doped with iodine. So please note it, conductive polymer doped with iodine. Polymer electronics have the same building blocks as conventional electronics, that is OFETs, diodes, capacitors, inverters, and polymer ring oscillators. Applications include organic photovoltaic cells, organic light emitting diodes, that is OLED, polymer transistors, printed electronics, and many more. Polymer electronics are light, flexible, and less expensive to produce on a mass quantity scale than conventional electronics. Polymer electronics are not a competing product, but are considered to be more complementary to its silicon counterpart. So why plastic circuits? Current market is highly influenced by silicon. Silicon circuits production is costlier. Silicon electronic fabrication doesn't meet feature requirements. Companies looking for alternative of silicon for feature needs. The benefits of plastic circuits are flexible, easy upgradation, consume less power, manufactured at fraction of the cost involved in making semiconductor chips. Plastic fibers are potentially stronger than glass fibers. Circuit production and upgradation is easier. Can be rolled up like a paper. How plastic circuits works, you can see how this process will be there. Chemical composition of plastics are conjugated for polymers is changed by doping to make them conducting. Polymers, polythiopenes, oleothiopenes, and pentazine have conductive property. Electronic behavior of these polymers is very different from inorganic semiconductors such as silicon or germanium or silicate. So this is the manufacturing technique. So printing polymer circuits is known as polymer. We call it as mechatronics. Then polymer mechatronics are flexonics, which is developed by University of California. So no need of assemble and build technique. So our next newspaper will be a made of polytronics. So step is nothing but design the circuit using a CAD software tool, which normally we are doing. Take the necessary ingredients and insert in the printer, print the circuit. Simple, but the ingredients is very, very important. So application, you can see how the cell phone. So our next generation cell phone will be a paper. We can fold it as much as can. So electronic paper, as I mentioned, next generation will be an electronics paper, or newspaper will be an electronic paper. This is based on OLED and innovative display, a device which can be rolled up while still having connectivity with internet world. This is possible through direct inkjet printing technology, economical to produce, real-time display updation. in plastic batteries. So nowadays, even electric vehicle technology, batteries placed in white batteries occupy the major thing. So plastic batteries, both the electrodes and electrolytes used in batteries are made up of polymers, lightweight, reduced shape and size, can be recharged and reused a number of times without loss of power. Then electroactive polymers, which is used for artificial muscles, are known as electroactive polymers. So it would help humans in body deformities, just like a robotic arm. Then some of the advantages are freedom in design, cheap foil substrate, lightweight, compact, portable products, cost-effective assembly with reel-to-reel processing, environment-friendly, printing instead of lithography. This is very important. Provide a cheap method for the fabrication of simple, low-cost electronic products. Polymer materials offer a high degree of freedom and flexibility in the design of the material, device, and system. The important point is the idea of polytronics is not to replace silicon technology, but to develop new application in conjunction with silicon. That's what I suggested. Polymer itself is we can't use, but they help along with silicon. If you use something, we can act as a polytronic. This is there is the thing to develop new application in conjunction with silicon. This polytronics is important. Then the future research direction that is called a smart society. It is nothing but energy saving one area. Next is energy creating. The last one is advanced information processing. So in terms we call it as green nano electronics. So one area is power device. So another is solar cell. Another is integrated circuit. You can see power devices. So power devices techniques, so which can realize high efficiency electric power conversion. We call it as gallium nitride power devices. Gallium nitride has an electric field breakage voltage 10 times higher than silicon. So that is the reason we are researchers are normally we all learn about silicon devices. Researchers are finding an alternate for silicon. So gallium nitride plays a vital role nowadays. So this is the gallium nitride HEMT devices. So and normally you may learn about silicon as a single layer. Here we are going for multiple layers, stacked layers. So silicon as substrate, there is a buffer layer, another gallium nitride layer. So this is a binary compound. Next, there is a ternary compound that is aluminum gallium nitride. So we call this device as HEMT device, that is high electron mobility transistor. So aluminum gallium nitride and gallium nitride devices. So this comes under our high electron mobility transistor application. We call it as power devices. Then diamond, which plays a vital role, is a semiconductor material, has a high electric field breakdown voltage of over 10 MV per centimeter. So this is very important. So there's another option for researchers. You can concentrate, you can work on diamond. So just have a comparison between silicon and diamond. So the band gap of silicon is 1.1 electron volt, for diamond is 5.47 electron volt. And electron mobility is 1400 again 2200. Cold mobility is 600. For diamond it is 1600. So relative permittivity is 11.8 for silicon. For diamond is 5.5. And the breakdown electric field is 0.3 for silicon. Diamond is 10. So thermal conductivity is 1.5 for silicon. Diamond is 2.0. So you can also have an alternate for silicon as diamond. Then next is solar cell. So next generation high efficiency solar cells, very important, which is made up of FES2 and BS2. So which is nothing but, so what the research they're expecting is by using these materials or silicate solar cell, we can get 30% efficiency. That is, iron silicate can use infrared light and barium silicate can use ultraviolet light and visible light to generate electricity power. So this is another area the next young researchers can concentrate. Then silicon nano, it's a nanowire solar cell. This is another new technology. So silicon nanowire has a larger band gap when its radius is lower than 10 nanometer. Thus, it can be used in solar cells to obtain high open voltage. Then integrated circuits. So realization of advanced nanoelectronics devices with high performance and low power consumption is important. So we can concentrate to develop a low power device with high performance in nanoelectronic devices. So in this case, you can have new technologies based on novel materials and structures. So you can find new materials, new structures. But the objective is to realize high performance and low power consumption electronic devices. So one thing is silicon nanowire transistor technology, which is a superior drivability and low leakage current. So if anybody is interested, so you can concentrate on silicon nanowire transistor technology as a research area. Then high performance gate insulator technology. So which is nothing but it's a Q2 boost MOSFET performance. So you can concentrate on gate insulator technology. Then high mobility, which you have seen earlier, connected device. It is indium gallium arsenide enjoys high mobility 10 times larger than silicon. So we can concentrate multiple layers, many layers. So gallium arsenide, aluminum arsenide, indium gallium arsenide, indium phosphate, which is nothing but third and fifth compound semiconductor material. So this is one area you can concentrate. Then another important thing is tunnel fit transistor technique. So leakage current due to tunneling of carriers and decreases exponentially if the tunneling distance increases. So which leads to drastic decrease in off-state leakage current. So another important area is tunnel fit transistor area, which you can concentrate. Let's see the revolution of electronics. What is the next revolution for device technology? So in 1900, we can see electronics emerged. So in 1970, microelectronics emerged. What about when and what? So in 1900 it is electronics, then 1970 it is microelectronics, then nano electronics. Maybe not a revolution, but definitely nano electronics is a great innovation. So when and what? How many years it took? See, the revolution for electronics and microelectronics, how many years it took, and next 70 years. So you can see it's 70 years. So for electronics and microelectronics, the total years for a revolution is 70 years. Then for nano electronics, we can see it is another 70 years. What about next 70? So after microelectronics, what is the next generation? Now it is 2022. Being an engineers or the researchers, we need to predict the future technology. That is our prime motto. So next technology is after 70 years. You can see 19, not it is electronics. After 70 years, microelectronics evolved in 1970. So from this, after 70 years, our new generation, our new revolution will be there, which is nothing but braintronics. So what do you mean by braintronics? So we can see about braintronics. Meanwhile, by 2025 to 2045, after 10 to 30 years, what will be your society after 30 years? It's wearable. There is minimum or no wearing. So we do not want bring many electronic items such as smartphone, battery charger, extra battery, PC, etc. So now when we are traveling, our biggest luggage, we can't forget, we can't live without mobile phone. We need to carry the mobile phone. Of course, the battery charger, which plays a vital role, and power bank, etc. we are carrying. So everywhere in the environment, sensors to detect what human want to do. Display to see, speaker to listen, wireless power supply if necessary. So if all these things inbuilt in our wearable, in our dresses, so we not want to carry. You can wear the dress, everything is inbuilt, so it's fine. So this is what our next generation. So this burden to the data processing of the smartphone will become light, and even no mobile smartphone may be necessary. So sensor, short-length wireless communication, display may be powered by solar cell. Of course, display can be powered by solar cell and operated by small microprocessor will become important. Then what will be the LSI fabrication process in 2030? There are no miniaturization. This cost reduction for fabrication by new concept will become important. Today's large size wafer process is necessary. Is it so? Today's large cleaning room is necessary? No needed. For example, how about the chip size, fabrication with many parallel chip fabrication? So all these things are questionable. For minimum or no wearing, smart sensor, shortlet communication, display, speaker, well distributed in the environment, operated by small microprocessor and powered by solar cell. For fabrication cost reduction, New fabrication process idea is necessary. Then long time from 2045 to 2075, that is another 30 to 60 years. So introduce the brain algorithm into semiconductor microprocessor, which is a new area. We can predict direct communication between electron device and biosystem, that is brain, which is called as braintronics. Brain, we can use insect or animal or human for direct communication for this purpose. Use brain of insect or animal for data processing. Next is self-assembly by using DNA. So this is called as braintronics. We can't imagine. We do know system and algorithms are important, but we do not know how it can be biased for use of bio. So our next transmission after next revolution is braintronics. So you can dream of it. Braintronics. It's nothing but a mosquito is doing everything. The front portion will act as a sensor, and the brain for data storing. So ultra small volume, small number of neuron cells, extremely low power. So we can have 3D flight control. So AI, so everything is in full. So Dragonfly brain had even further high performance. So all those things is another area, a new area we can call it as braintronics. So we need to predict all those things. Next, long-term roadmap for development. So by 2020 to 2030, after 2040, all those things we need to put. As you mentioned, the scaling is become saturation. So our next biggest area is you can concentrate on new materials, new processor, new structures, which nowadays the researchers are concentrating. But still another 10 to 20 years, we can continue with that process. Next is hybrid integration of different functional chip, increase of SoC functionality, 3D integration of memory cell, 3D integration of logic devices, miniaturization of interconnects on PCB, that is printed circuit board, low cost for LSA process, revolution for CR equipment. Then major thing by 1940, we can predict the technology or the evolution. It's braintronics, which is nothing but introduction of algorithm of biosystem, brain of insects, humans, etc. In terms, so it's an eye-opening section as braintronics. So braintronics for 2040, it's a task for you, the young generations. Please note it. We will be working with braintronics. Another important thing we can predict after a long time, that is 2045 to 2030, 75, that is 30 to 60 years. It is self-assembling using DNA. It is a kind of dream, but it's possible. Assembling a structure such like coral designed by DNA. So dear participants, students, do not believe a textbook statement blindly. Never give up. No one knows the future. There would be a solution. Think, or wait the time someone will think for you. It's my quote. Are you an engineer? Do what you will. Develop what you have. Be satisfied with yourself. A real master cannot follow others. Don't concentrate on existing. Try to create new things. So good luck. Hope everyone will believe in luck. Of course, I too believe in luck. The luck which I believe is something different. L stands for learning. U stands for understanding. If you start learning, you can understand the concept. If you start learning and understand the concept, you can become a confident communicator. So what about K? If you start learning, you can understand the concept so that you can become a confident communicator. So K stands for knowledge. Yes. L stands for learn. If you start learning, you can understand the concept so that you can become a confident communicator. Definitely you will be a knowledgeable person. So thank you for attention. Once again, I thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity, especially Mainul and Professor Mainul Hassan and Tabil Ahmad. So again, Mainul and all the organizers for giving the wonderful opportunity for the patients. So if any questions, so I'm happy to address. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a question session now. If anyone have any question, please Feel free to ask, sir. Uh, Sir, I got a question from Nur Alam
Yeah,
sir
please.
that
Please, please.
do we need have deep knowledge on VLSI to work with nano electronic devices?
No, it's something different. So VLSI is entirely different with nanoelectronics. We can tell it is an VLSI, but VLSI comes to programming side, Verilog as well as VHDL. So nanoelectronics, so what we are dealing is materials. So there are different areas. So VLSI is another research area, and for under this, here we are concentrating more on material side. So say if you want to fabricate a transistor, as I mentioned, there are different structures, and if you concentrate more on material side, then you can do many miracles. It's a game. By changing materials, we will be getting new structures with good performance. It is a multidisciplinary area. But VHDL and VLSI is purely based on electronics. In fact, this nano electronics is a multidisciplinary area. So no need of the knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Maybe it's the ending of our questioning session. We are grateful to the Almighty for the successful completion of this event. I want to thank and express in the ocean counts, and we'll never forget those who helped us in this event, such as our supporting partners, IEEE Student Branch, University of